So, I know I should be writing, but I am exhausted. Today was my second trip to the oncologist, and I had a CAT scan. Sorry, third trip to the oncologist. I had a CAT scan on my neck. So, if you've been keeping up with what's been going on, I have these two really big swollen lymph nodes on the submandibular area, and they kind of start on both sides. Like, you start right here, go all the way to here, so it's like there to there, and then from here to like down here, so they're really freaking huge. And then my thyroid apparently is like misshapen, so it's like these lymph nodes are right up on the thyroid, which is like right around here, and I've been feeling like this like thing popping in and out on my thyroid on one side, and it's like weird. But I do have thyroid disease, so apparently it's, if you have Hashimoto's, you're more prone to getting the very rare lymphoma of the thyroid, which I probably don't have, but I don't know. I apparently have a thing for getting rare conditions, and there's also thyroid cancer. So those are two possibilities, aside from also just plain some version of lymphoma, of which there are many. But as you can hear, my voice is kind of raggedy sounding, and that's one of the symptoms apparently of having some sort of cancer involvement of your thyroid. So that's a little worrisome, but I mean, you know, and I've already been prepared by my oncologist that, you know, there's a fairly good chance that there's a lymphoma cancer, you know, whatever. I can't even think anymore. So I was stranded at the oncologist today afterwards. My ride thing that was arranged by the social service agency did not pan out, but I mean, I made it home. I'm here, obviously. So anyway, I'm just doing this video journal thing to sort of, you know, there's lots of days I just don't have the energy to write anymore because I'm just really tired all the time. So what started my suspicion that something was really wrong, aside from having Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which I've always had, obviously, it's a genetic condition, and I've been, you know, things got much worse for me a couple of years ago in terms of my symptoms and pain and everything. You know, I've always been able to work through it. You know, I started feeling really, really bad, you know, several years back, and like had sporadic work and all that sort of thing, you know, for years now. But and then I had to stop working about 2 years ago because of the pain and everything. And things were just kind of settling for me. I was applying for disability and all that sort of thing, and was just sort of getting used to my life with this new normal sort of thing. And then I started feeling really sick about, I guess it's been 4 months now. And the first thing was I just kind of just didn't feel right. I would wake up with these night sweats where I was just completely drenched, like my bedding was drenched, my clothes were drenched. And it, you know, with my age, you know, I was like thinking maybe I'm hitting menopause. I'm 54, and wait, am I 54 or 55? I'm 55. Jesus. But it's not. I mean, I still get periods regularly. In fact, I've been getting super, super heavy ones, and I even got a couple of times like twice in a month. But anyway, you know, they've always been really, really heavy and bad, and they're still really, really heavy and bad. And they've tested my hormones, and everything is still like, my hormones are like that of a 30-year-old still. So unfortunately, no menopause. But so yeah, that wasn't it. And then getting these really bad headaches, which I shouldn't be getting because I'm on heavy duty medication for migraines as it is. Then also, gosh, what else? Oh, and then what I really noticed was that I started feeling like there's just something wrong with my foot. So then I just felt these really strange, you know, swollen lymph nodes, and they weren't as big as they are now, but they were bigger than they should be. And I was like, well, maybe I'm just getting sick, you know, I mean, that happens. But then they just didn't go away and didn't go away, and they just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, until they reached the size that they are now, which is just fairly massive. And then so I'm thinking, well, that's never a good sign. So I was feeling around elsewhere, and then they were some under my arms, and then in the groin region, I know, ew, TMI. And then there were a couple also above my clavicle, which those turned out to be, I guess, not a big deal for my last CAT scan, but that's usually like a fairly bad sign if you get them above your clavicle, but they're not big enough, I guess, to be a worry at this point. But yeah, they're all over. And then the really scary thing is that I have these like tumor things all over, up and down my arms, like all over my arms. So I would show you, but I'm holding the camera in my other hand. But I also have, like, on my underside of my arms, front area that I'm showing you here, there are swollen lymph nodes all up and down the underside of my arm here, that you can feel. You can palpitate them very easily. They're hard, and they're easy to feel. And I checked on a map of the body. I can't think of words anymore. It's my word recall is gone. But they match up on the lymph nodes where they should be on my arm. That's what the swelling is. So, and they're also on this side of my arm. They're everywhere. And they're so large that they are like pressing into nerve endings and making it very painful. I also have like chest pains, air hunger, and swollen abdomen, and like just pain in my abdomen. So just like all kinds of weird things. And these symptoms just kept building up and building up, and one thing adding. It's like every week there'd be some new thing. So I went to my doctor, and of course she was like, well, you don't have a raised white blood cell, so it's probably not cancer. And so of course, me being me, I go home and I look, and it's like, that's not always even remotely a reason to discount cancer. But what I did notice is I have severe anemia on low hemoglobin, like really, really, really low, like 9, which is very low. 11 is considered to be on the very low side, and I'm at 9. So in any case, so anemia, like severe anemia, is definitely a sign of lymphoma if added. I mean, don't just freak out if you're anemic. Added to all the other symptoms I've got going on, it's a marker along with like the swollen lymph nodes and everything else. But it's gotten so bad that sometimes I have difficulty swallowing, and I will like cough up liquids and food, and it's like I'm choking because of these things are so swollen. But in any case, so I told her that. I'm like, well, I have been doing my research, and that's actually is kind of a reason to be a bit concerned. So maybe you could refer me to an oncologist if the further testing doesn't rule other things out. And I've got a really good doctor, so she listens to me, and so she's like, well, let's see if we can find anything else going on. So they tested me for autoimmune activity, for infection, long-term infection for Epstein-Barr virus. Now I did, when you have Epstein-Barr virus or mononucleosis or whatever, it stays in your system forever. So I did have it a long time ago, and they tested me for any current activity, and it's dormant in my system, so it's not that. So they ruled that out. I've got no autoimmune activity happening right now. I do have a thyroid condition, but it's controlled with my medicine that I take, so I've got no autoimmune activity happening. One thing that lymphoma can look like is, or one thing that an autoimmune illness that can look like lymphoma is lupus. But I have a negative ANA test, and because if you have a negative ANA test, you pretty much don't have lupus. I mean, it's very rare, but there's other testing that they did, and it's pretty clear I don't have lupus. So long story short is they ruled everything else out. I mean, I've been looking. I've had so much time just to be home. I'm pretty much bed bound. This is like my life currently. I'm in pain, exhausting pain, and I'm tired. I sleep all the time. it's just, you know, my cat's sometimes waking up at night, and so I will be awake for like several hours at night sometimes, but during the day I'm often just, I can't stay up for more than a few hours at a time. So I'll do a lot of research, and so there's like some really rare conditions out there that maybe it could be, if it turns out to not be lymphoma, and they're gonna have to look into stuff like that. And so who knows, and some of those conditions actually do require chemotherapy, even though they're not technically cancer. So so yeah, it's just sort of at a loss as to what it could be if it's not lymphoma. So that's why I'm kind of just preparing myself for, you know, this is a very, very, very high chance that this is cancer, and that's what my oncologist has been, you know, preparing me for. He's not like, you've got cancer for sure. He's like, you know, it's, you know, we've ruled everything else out, it looks like, so it looks like it probably is, so let's go further with the testing and do your biopsy and do your CAT scans and everything else. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. So yeah, I'm in a lot of pain. I've been in a lot of pain for, you know, years and years and years because of my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And you know, as one gets older with that condition, especially if one was extremely athletic earlier in life, as I was a dancer and a martial artist, you know, I really wrecked the crap out of my body. So now I'm in pain a lot. You know, I've got early onset and arthritis, and just a lot of joint pain and tendon pain and things like that. So, and it's just everywhere. But now I've got this other pain on top of it, which is, you know, from the swollen lymph nodes all up and down my arms, are pressing on nerves. You know, my pain in it feels like I've got just pain in my bones. It's the only way to really describe it. I don't know how else one could describe it. And it's just kind of exhausting. It's like just everywhere. And I've got like this constant sort of pain in my chest area. I've got, you know, like, it feels like it's something standing on my chest all the time. And I'm struggling for breath, even though my air saturation seems to be fine. I've got asthma, so I know when I'm lacking oxygen, you know. These headaches, this constant kind of pain in my neck area, which means there might be some lymph nodes going on back there that I just are too deep for me to, you know, palpitate. I don't know. But it's just so much pain and exhaustion, and like this pain in my stomach all the time. I think there might be some fluid retention, who knows. But yeah, I'm in a lot of pain. Fortunately, my doctor just gave me more effective pain medication. I was on tramadol for the Ehlers-Danlos, which we've been talking for a while about giving me something more strong, because, you know, it does require something stronger than tramadol. Tramadol is like taking a couple of Aleve, honestly. And I was on a very low dose on top of it. But so she just prescribed low dose Norco for me, which even at a low dose is way stronger than tramadol, and that's been really helpful, thank God. It's like a world of difference. So, and you know, I'm only getting a couple a day. So she said to let her know if I need more than that. And since I'm only getting 2 a day, I asked if she could give me 3, and we'll see what she says about that. But yeah, it's just, when I take them, they last for a few hours, and it is definitely takes the edge off of things. So that's nice. And she's just kind of operating on the idea that, you know, she's like, well, let's just assume that this is cancer related, but for sure related to the lymph pressing on nerves, and, you know, it sounds like you've got bone pain and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just lucky that she listens to me, you know, and I've got a really, really nice oncologist, so that's good. So yeah, at this point, it's just a matter of waiting to see what transpires. The first CAT scan, you know, the chest and the abdomen area was clear. The only thing that was weird, as I mentioned, was the thyroid looked heterogeneous, I believe was the word for it, which sounds like it has a sexual preference, but no, it was just that it's malformed, and possibly it didn't detect any specific nodes anywhere. It's just saying it's malformed, which it would be most likely from having Hashimoto's, but it was noticeable enough, and like I can feel it. It feels a bit, like I said, there's something that's kind of like wonky in there that I can press in and out, which is that was not there before. So anyway, that they're gonna have to take a look at that. And then today I had my neck CT, and we'll see what they find with that. So this is the main one. This is the one where I'm gonna really find out, like, what's going on in this area, and then they'll decide what to biopsy. I'm assuming is what's next, from what I recall. So that's where we are, and yeah. So I will keep everybody posted, and I think I'm just repeating myself at this point. So I'm gonna let this go, and I'm gonna take a painkiller and lay down and watch really bad reality TV, probably, which is a new thing for me. I was watching My 600-Pound Life, which is absolutely horrible and yet oddly fascinating. And I'm watching Night Watch, which is about EMTs in New Orleans, which I'm liking quite a bit. But I really got to find something good to watch, because it's like probably rotting my brain horribly. But I need something mindless, because otherwise I'm just going to think too much. I need a really good horror film. Anyway, and I'm reading like 3 different books at the same time, and I have to like stop doing that occasionally, or else my brain just fries. So now I just want to like zone out and watch something non-challenging, non-demanding. So, all right, I'll be back, guys, later.